What's going on, guys? Decoration Dude here, and today I have a pretty cool video on this Gemmy tabletop Zoot suit skeleton. I got this guy at an antique store for like 30 or 40 bucks. I can't really remember, but I was kind of hesitant to buy him because he was in pretty rough shape, and I didn't want to pay like 40 bucks for someone that was broken. But I've never had the opportunity to buy him, so I just went ahead and bought him. And they also had at that antique store in the booth I got this guy, they also had a Gemmy friendly floating ghost, and they wanted like 30 bucks for that too, so I passed because I don't really like that floating ghost. But here he is. He's been fully restored somewhat. I mean, this guy he's being held together by hopes and dreams, and I mean, he was kind of a pain to work on. These tabletop ones are so much harder to work on than their life-size counterparts. And I finally got him fully working. So when I first got him, his mouth did not move, and I took his head off and I looked in there and I'm like, oh wow, it's like really packed in there, and there's no way to take the skull apart. I think you have to cut it open actually. So I noticed when I took it off, his mouth started moving again. And what was happening was the clothing here was actually too close to his mouth or his jaw, and it was causing his mouth not to be able to open and close. So I added a little extension, you can see it right there, to lift his head up just a little bit, and it allows his mouth to move. Now, I don't know why it's actually, like, what the original cause of that was. I'm sure there's an actual issue on the inside of the skull, but I just found a way around it without having to, like, cut open the skull or anything. And then his arm, the plastic piece for his arm was completely snapped, and it took me several attempts to try to fix it because originally I just glued it back together, but I didn't realize that this actually has to rotate like this for it to work properly. So I glued it and tried it, and the clothing here would just get wrapped up, and then he wouldn't spin his arm at all. So I took the whole thing back apart, and I used a Dremel to like sand out a channel for the metal bar that comes out of the arm to rest in, and then I screwed it back together, and that worked pretty well. But then again, the plastic is still pretty brittle and snapped, so hopefully it stays together. I'm gonna be pretty careful with him, but he's, like I said, he's being held together by hopes and dreams. But and then the most notable issue was his chain, or his light up skulls, were ripped off. Now, the first skull was still there, but the rest of them were gone, and I wanted all the skulls to match, so I just took off the original one because I didn't have two more Zoot suit skeleton swinging skulls. I didn't have two extra ones to replace the missing ones, so what I did is I just made a whole new setup here. I took wired up some red LEDs, and then I took one of those like Halloween straws, and I cut the skulls off, and I glued those over the red LEDs. And I know it doesn't look the best. It's definitely not original, and I know some people may be able to tell, but, you know, to the majority amount of people, they won't be able to tell whatsoever. So yeah, he's fully working now, and the Zoot suit skeleton is kind of, it's a very iconic piece to Halloween because it's the only produced, like, you know, swinging one. Like, you know, Christmas has all the swinging snowmans, snowflake spinners, and you know, this was really the only one that was, like, you know, not plush or anything. And I know there's a prototype, like, devil counterpart to this guy, but that one didn't get produced. And hopefully, if everything works out, I may be getting a 5-foot version of this here soon. I would say there's probably about like a 40% chance that I get them, maybe like a 50, I don't know, we'll see. But that would be pretty cool if I would be able to get both, because the life-size version is much harder to find than this guy. But I'm gonna go ahead and activate them.
Check this out. Woo! I'm really cooking now. Solid, baby. I'm a swinging scat cat. No bones about it.
issue I forgot to mention is the wire I used here. It's like speaker wire, and it's not as strong as the original wire. The original wire had like some type of rope that was like weaved into it to make it stronger, and even that snapped eventually. So I'm really hoping that this one lasts a while, but I have a feeling it's gonna, it's gonna rip off eventually. And it was actually happening. It happened to me twice already, where in the place where I soldered the new wire to the old wire, it kept ripping off because of his swinging motion. So I put extra glue into his little hand there, and it's been holding up pretty well. So hopefully it continues to do that. So yeah, as you can see, he works pretty well. I mean, he doesn't look original, but he works pretty well, and that's all I care about. So yeah, I don't really have anything else to say about him. So I'm gonna go ahead and end the video here, and thanks for watching.